USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at usaa.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
British Spy Stories Season 5 Kill or Be Killed. Episode 9. The Leonardo AW139 helicopter lands at the heliport in the Italian border town of Montespluga after the 3-hour flight from Paris. Gabby jumps out and walks across to the terminal building, then asks about a delivery that should be waiting for her. In a lock-up garage at the far end of the compound, she finds her package, 2 Augusta Brutale 1000cc motorbikes. She puts the proximity key fob in her pocket, throws her leg over one of the machines, and pushes the ignition. Gabby opens up the engine and climbs into the mountains to cross the border back into Switzerland. She skirts smaller peaks and rounds the Gunanul mountain, then drops down into the valley on the other side. When she reaches the Kappa 16 safe house, she parks her bike outside, but there's no answer to her knocks on the front door. The house has 2 stories, a solid high fence surrounding it, and a garden. There's a single gate to get to the rear, but it's locked. Gabby's assessment is that the place is empty. Many MI6 safe houses aren't used often, especially in rural locations like this. The whole point is that safe houses are usually empty and ready to be used for emergencies. Gabby drags over a planter from the front garden and stands on it to reach the top of the fence. She pulls on her arms to lift her body, then swings her legs up and over. The sound of her boots echoes as she hits the paving on the other side, but there's still no signs of anyone being home. At the back of the house, the garden slopes away to trees at the edge of the woodland that runs down the side of the valley and off into the distance. There's a wooden veranda jutting out of the back of Kappa 16, and she steps up onto it, then walks on towards the rear windows. She puts up her hand to shield the glare of the reflected daylight and puts her face near the glass to see inside. But there's no sign of human activity, and this just reinforces her view that the place is deserted. She turns back to the garden and walks out to the edge of the veranda, hoping that this whole journey hasn't been a wasted one. As she stands watching the valley from her vantage point, she suddenly hears some movement. Gabby consciously puts all her effort into listening for more. She becomes aware of the minute sounds around her. The slight breeze, a car on the hill climbing up from the valley bottom, a plane somewhere to the west, and something else, almost silent, but distinct. It's a footstep on the paving to the side of the place. Gabby stands perfectly still. Then her hand moves to her Smith & Wesson, stuffed into the back of her belt. Her fingers pull out the weapon, and she holds it, muzzle up, in the Swiss daylight. She moves stealthily back towards the side of the house, each step carefully placed to make no noise. The next events happen in quick succession. The scrape of another footstep, the shifting light, and the shadow of an arm appearing at the corner, then a gun at Gabby's head. Then Kate appears. "I nearly killed you, Gabby. Thank you for stopping yourself." They smile. "What are you doing here?" "I need you for a job, Kate, and you're the best there is." "How did you find me?" She screws up her eyes. "I'll tell you over a beer." They go inside and talk. Kate relates the data leakage and Henry Caldwell telling her to stay in her flat with a bodyguard. Needless to say, I took no notice and came up here. This job I have, says Gabby. It's in Madrid. Can you work? The system says you can't be allocated. When was the last time either of us took any notice of the system? Says Kate. They chink their beer bottles in a toast to the idea of rebellion. There's only one problem, she says. On a kill operation, I have support in my earpiece from GCHQ as they track live satellite feeds, so it gives me insight into where the target is and escape routes if they're needed. All I can promise is that I'll help you, says Gabby. We need to do this urgently. The target, Rafael Villanova, is meeting a manufacturer to buy the missile system blueprints. Okay. I've got nothing to do here apart from read anyway. The next morning, as the sun starts to edge above the horizon, two figures, dressed in motorcycle leathers and wearing black military-style backpacks, emerge from the wooden house. They both ride on Gabby's motorbike and return to the heliport, then pick up the second machine and ride out west and away from the mountains. It's 10 p.m. as they turn into the lane where Laravel has parked her camper van, overlooking Raphael's house and gardens. We hacked the online diary, says Laravel. He's leaving to collect the documents tomorrow morning. We know the destination. We'll have to hit him straight away in that case, on the road, before he makes the exchange. 100 meters away, in the main sitting room of his vast home, Raphael sits with a brandy in his hand, and his mind awash with ideas and plans. His wife is out tonight, and he eats alone, watching Real Madrid lose to Barcelona on the television. He'd messaged Oliver earlier this evening to arrange to talk about an issue that he hasn't been able to get out of his brain for 3 days. He walks to the study, along a wide corridor that leads from the main sitting room and into the bowels of the house. Apart from his illegal work, Raphael's job is investment consultancy, and particularly working with the Japanese banks. Given the thousands of miles that separate his clients from Madrid, he'd bought one of the best video conference units available 3 years ago to allow him to talk to his clients on a daily basis, no matter where they are in the world. He clicks on a link, and within a few seconds Oliver's face appears, looking hassled on the screen, from his office in London. Stressed, Oliver, he says. Couple of deals going south in the Far East, but nothing serious. What did you want to discuss, Raph? Says the trader. I was struck by what you said to Rose at the meeting in the chateau. He begins. She's difficult to deal with, and it got me thinking about the value that she adds. I am straining to think what that is. I know she put in 10 million for seed funding, like you and I did, but we do the work. We could buy her out, then split the profits with 4 of us instead of 5. Makes sense, says Oliver. As you saw at the weekend, she's bossy for no reason. I agree that we have the contacts, and that's the valuable asset in all of this. But how would we get her out? She doesn't strike me as someone who would agree to stand aside, because she set the whole business up. We just don't tell her if we get deals, says Raphael. I can talk to the others. Salvatore's in Paris for the next month. I'll call him, and Louis will do as he's told. He's just a money launderer. He's not a senior finance guy. They talk on about the details of their coup d'etat, and about prospective deals they're planning, including Raphael's missile blueprints. I can hear my wife coming in downstairs, says Raphael. They ring off, and in London and Madrid, their minds roll around with the possibilities of their new plan. When Rose had contacted Louis about meeting for dinner, he had suggested a small family-run restaurant in the back streets that she'd never heard of. She ignored the idea and booked them a table in the restaurant of her hotel. When he arrives, she's already sitting on an ochre semicircular sofa next to giant windows that overlook a tree-lined courtyard inside the Dominican Hotel. Louis, she calls to him. Her eyes are wide as she smiles, and he kisses her on both cheeks.
Mademoiselle Rose, good evening.
As he sits, she says,
I ordered for us the swordfish, then the veal, and this Beaujolais.
She indicates the glass of wine at his place setting. He drinks.
Tell me how you are, Louis,
she says.
You seemed worried at the party. I don't like all this talk of killing. I'm not used to moving in those circles. Haven't you spent 5 or more years laundering money for criminals? I'm surprised you're not used to the ebb and flow of this sort of business. Mademoiselle Rose, I do my part and nothing else.
He takes another mouthful of wine.
I'm not a criminal.
She wonders about his definition of crime, but doesn't mention it. Instead, she says,
The benefits of our business are considerable, but they do come with certain bumps in the road. This secret documents plan that you have, that we have.
She interrupts him.
The plan that we have rests on me finding people to sell secrets. But I haven't found any yet, and I don't have those sort of people in my network. Have you talked to the clients who you launder money for? That would be your best starting point. They come to see me because of my reputation. But this is different. This is a new skill. A new business area. I don't have a reputation for that. Let me give you a starter, then,
she says.
One of the new MEPs is interesting for us. He's Danish. Mikael Norgard, he's called. He's inexperienced and naive. He wants to make a difference.
She holds up her fingers as inverted commas in the air as she says the last word. Their swordfish starters arrive.
Norgard sits on the Defence Committee in the European Parliament because he was a junior defence minister back in Copenhagen. So, he has access to strategic military plans. You need to meet him, but do it quickly, as the vultures are circling already. What do you mean?
Louis's face, that had relaxed slightly, resumes its tension.
There are other people talking to him who are in the same game as us.
She pushes her hand into her Bottega Veneta handbag and pulls out 3 photographs, which she holds out across the table. Louis inspects the images, which show a dark-haired man and a blonde woman having lunch in a restaurant and a waitress pouring them wine.
That's Norgard,
says Rose.
The woman with him is British. She's called Eleanor Royce. It's not her real name. I asked a private detective I use to give me a profile on her, but he found precisely nothing. If that's not her real name, and she's had a false passport created, that's traceable. But it's not all you need. These days, you have to do so much more to create fake people.
Rose eats to let him talk.
When you create a false identity, it's not just a name and home address. It's dozens of touch points. Otherwise it doesn't look real. Parents, work addresses, old holiday photos, unused social media accounts from a decade ago.
This is the most passionate that she's ever seen him.
Before online it was much simpler,
he continues.
The number of paper records was small and finite. We can research every single document about someone from the last century, but not today. There are thousands of traces that we all leave wherever we go. That woman at the weekend, Lady Imogen Harwood, she was right when she talked about data trails. They're the fingerprints of the 21st century. The telltale signs that someone has been present.
Rose is smiling now.
She says, Eleanor Royce has been seen with Norgard and 4 other MEPs in the last month. So she's after something. Can you do a better job than my detective and find out about her?
I can. Louis nods.
How do you know her name, as a matter of interest? I offered the waitress in the photograph €50,
says Rose.
She looked up the name on the restaurant's booking system. Did Eleanor Royce pay in cash?
Rose smiles again. Her regrets about Louis are evaporating.
Yes. No matter. If she's used that same name anywhere, I'll find it. Hotels, airline tickets, anywhere.
The rest of the meal has a very different atmosphere, as Rose is now buoyed up by Louis's abilities. When they finish their food and he says he needs to go, Rose stays at the table to make a call to a man that she's met, but she won't tell Louis his name. As he leaves the hotel, the rain starts to fall on the streets of Brussels. Louis has an umbrella and decides to walk the 40 minutes back home to Kirkelberg because he needs to think up a plan to contact this Mikkel Norgaard, MEP. Louis isn't the type of person to just go up to someone. He'll need a reason to do it. He'll research the man and find out about his life first, then approach Norgaard with something relevant. He crosses over the Charleroi Canal on the Pont Saint-Helette, then starts the final leg of his journey up towards the illuminated Basilica of the Sacred Heart that's glowing in the distance. As he passes the end of a side road, a figure steps out from the shadows into his path.
Hello, Louis. Inspector, you startled me.
Emile Dames, of the Belgian Federal Police, is a tall man and completely bald. He has a large black moustache, and his blue eyes are like water. Have you got a reason to be nervous?
Of course not.
Tell me what you and Rosalind Froissart talked about at your cosy dinner.
Nothing new. Nothing you don't know already.
Dames looks unconvinced. Come on, Louis. He slaps him heartily on the back. Our deal is that I'll keep you out of prison if you give me evidence about Rose. I can just as easily have you banged up in the shiny new Harren prison. Better than those old jails like San Gilles.
It's not easy, sir.
The officer sighs dramatically. When you were caught money laundering last year, you seemed very keen to help.
I am.
I'll put you away if you don't start delivering, says Dames. And don't forget Mademoiselle Rosaline is a nasty piece of work. She'll kill you as soon as look at you, if she finds out you're a mole. So you need to pull your finger out. Louis tries to smile, but fails. Look on the other side of the coin. You get evidence about what she's doing. I stop her. My bosses are happy. I'm happy. And you walk away, a free man.
I'll do my best.
Dames turns to go, and Louis is in his shadow for a fleeting moment. Don't let me down, Louis, he calls through the rain as he walks off. I can only keep you out of prison for so long. His last words hang in the air as he disappears into the night.
This episode is brought to you by FX's Alien Earth, the official podcast. Each week, host Adam Rogers is joined by guests, including the show's creator, cast, and crew, in this exclusive companion podcast. They will explore story elements, deep dive into character motivations, and offer an episode-by-episode behind-the-scenes breakdown of each terrifying chapter in this new series. Search FX's Alien Earth wherever you listen to podcasts.